Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and if this is your first time here, you're also welcome. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make this stylish pants with the ruffles at the bottom. In this tutorial, I'll be collaborating with Lumsy Sews. She's also a fashion tutor here on YouTube, and I'll be taking the marking, cutting and stitching of this pants, why I should put you through how to take the body measurements for this particular pant. So I included the link to our YouTube channel on the description box below, so you guys can go ahead to watch how to take the right body measurements to achieve this particular style and fitting. So if this is a style you're interested in learning, keep watching. The name of this fabric is called a bridal satin. It has two textures, the soft bridal satin and the hard bridal satin. But for this style, I'll be making use of a hard bridal satin. The amount of the fabric I used is 3.5 yards. So a yard of this fabric in my place is sold for 700 naira. And if you have a Mikado fabric, you can also make use of it to achieve this style. The first step is to get the markings for the front piece. So I folded this fabric into two. Now on this side of the fold, I placed my tape to mark 3 inches and connected the points together to form a straight line. On the top of the fabric, I ruled a straight line, and this line is called the waistline. So I'll be attaching a waistband to the waistline of this pant, and I want the wideness of that waistband to be 1.5 inches. In this case, I would have to subtract 1.5 inches from the top of the waistline. The next line would be the hip line. Kindly take note that this is a high-waisted pant. So when I took the measurement from my waistline to my hip line, I had 9 inches. The next line is the crotch depth line, and my crotch depth line is 11.5 inches. The full length of my pants is 39 inches, but I want the length of the ruffles at the bottom to be 10 inches. So I had to subtract 10 inches from 39 inches, and that would give me 29 inches. Now I added 1 inch sewing allowance to the hem of the pant to mark 30 inches. The next step is to mark the tie line. So I placed my tape on the crotch line to mark 2 inches below the crotch line. So I adjusted the fabric for you to see the labeling. On the hip line, I placed my hip circumference divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches. Please take note of how the measuring tape is being placed. Now I'll connect this point upward to the waistline and downward to the crotch line. To get the crotch extension, I placed my tape on the crotch line and divided the distance between these two lines. So 9.5 divided by 4 is 2.4 inches. So I placed 2.4 inches from this line and then use the curve ruler to connect this point to my hip line. The next step is to place my waist circumference on the waistline. My waist circumference divided by 4 is 7 inches. So I added 1 inch allowance to that because of the dart that will be on the waistline, and that's 8 inches altogether. Now I'll connect this point to the hip line using my curved ruler. Now on the thigh circumference, I'll place my thigh circumference divided by 2, which is 11.5 inches. To get the hem circumference, since I have 11.5 inches on my thigh circumference, I'll subtract half inch from that and place 11 inches on the hem to connect the 3 points together. The next step is to add 1 inch seam allowance to the crotch curve to connect the 3 points together. Now I also add 1 inch sewing allowance to the side of the thigh circumference and to the hem circumference to connect the points together. So this is basically how to make a simple pant. But for the sake of this pants we are recreating, there are some certain things we need to do here. First of all, I'll be marking 3 inches on this side to connect this point to the thigh. And on this other side of the hem, I marked 2.5 inches to connect this point to the tie line as shown. Now on both sides of the hem, I marked 1 inch upward and connected the point to the hem line to form a curve on each side. The next step is to form a little curve on the waistline. This will help in eliminating the excess on the center of the waistline. So I marked ½ inch here and connected this point to the edge of the waistline as shown. The next step is to trim out the front piece of this pant. So I'll be using the front piece of this pant to get the back piece. To get the back piece, I folded the fabric into two to place the front piece directly on it. So the back piece of a pant should be wider than the front piece, and to go about this, I marked 1.5 inches at the top of the waistline. And on the side of the hip line, I marked 1.5 inches as well. Now on the crotch line, I'll be adding just 2 inches. The next step is to connect the top of the center back to the waistline. So on this side of this pant, I'll be marking just 2 inches by the side to connect it to the crotch extension. So this is all for the back piece. Now I'll trim out the back piece following the direction of the chalk. Alright, the next step is to mark the waist dart for both the front piece and the back piece. To do this, I would fold in the center allowance of the front piece alone to mark 3.5 inches. I got this 3.5 inches by dividing my nipple to nipple distance. My nipple to nipple distance is 6 inches. I divided by 2 and I had 3 inches plus ½ inch made it 3.5 inches. Now I'm notching the top of the waist dart. So the next step is to mark the side pockets that will be on the front piece. From this side of the waistline, I marked a width of 2 inches and a length of 6.5 inches to connect both points together. Now I'll trim out this side of the pocket for just the front piece. Alright guys, so the next thing you want to do now is to take this to your sewing machine to secure all the darts separately. You can secure this to about 4 inches in length. I'll do the same for the front piece as well. So after securing the waist dart for both the front piece and the back piece, the next thing we would work on is the pocket. So I have this fabric here folded into two. The length of this fabric is 11 inches while the width is 7 inches. So I would spread out the folded fabric and place the front piece of my pants directly on the fold, making sure that the waistline is at the top fabric as well. Now I'll trim out the shape of the pocket opening directly on the fabric below the front piece. So after doing that, the next thing I did was to place each pocket on the front piece, the right side of both fabric facing each other. Now I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch this side by ½ inch and also do the same for the other side of the pockets. Alright, I've stitched this side together, then I flipped the pocket below the front piece as shown. Now I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch the pocket opening by ½ inch following the direction of the chalk. So take note that this is just one side of the front piece. So whatever you do here is what you do on the second side of the front piece. Alright, so after stitching the pocket opening, I would fold the pockets into two equally. So the next thing I did was to raise the front piece and then take this to the sewing machine to stitch the hem of the pocket to this side of the pocket. And I'll stop stitching here. So I've stitched the bottom of the pocket, and the next thing I'll do is to replace this side of the pocket that was cut initially and then trim it out on this side. Now I would also place this piece on the other side of the front piece to trim out the side. So this is all for the pockets, and you can see that it's very easy to make. The next step is to place the front piece on each other to secure the crotch by 1/2 inch. So this is the back piece of the pants. You can see that the waist dart was properly secured as well. Now I'll take this to the sewing machine to secure the crotch by 1/2 inch. So obviously the back piece is ready. I would place the front piece directly on the back piece to secure the sides by 1 inch, following the direction of the choke. So for this pants, the zipper would be on the side. In this case, I would place my tape from the waistline on this side to mark 5 inches. And this opening here will be the zipper opening. Now from this point I chalked, I'm going to stitch downwards to the hem by 1 inch. The next step is to stitch the under crotch as well down to the hem by 1 inch, following the direction of the chalk. So this is what I have here. The next step is to take the hem circumference of just one leg. So this is 17 inches, and if I fold my tape into two, the entire hem circumference would be 34 inches. So this is the fabric I'm using for the bottom of the pants. Now to know the wideness of this fabric, since I had 34 inches for one leg, I'm going to add 30 inches to that, and that will be 64 inches. So the width of this fabric is 64 inches. Now for the length of this piece, since I subtracted 10 inches initially from the entire length of my pants, I marked 10 inches here and added extra 3 inches to the top because of the ruffle that was extended at the top as shown in this image here. So the entire length is now 13 inches. Take note that I used a paper stay on the wrong side of this fabric. Now take note that this fabric is just for one leg of the pants. You should place this on the main fabric to make a duplicate for the second leg. Yeah, I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch the width of the fabric by 1/2 inch. After stitching, I turned it to the right side of the fabric and took it to the ironing board to iron the fabric. Now, I folded one side of the edge in by 1/2 inch and inserted this other side into it by 1/2 inch. I'll stitch directly on this fold, following the direction of the chalk. So after stitching, this is how it should be. To attach this piece to the bottom of the pants, I inserted one leg of the pants into the opening. Now I'm going to spread out the hem, so it's going to be a single fabric here. And then I'll adjust the fabric downwards to the hem, making sure it's 2 inches above the hem of this pants. Now I'll go ahead to make some kissing pleats, and this is done by pleating both sides opposite to each other as shown. So I went ahead to keep making the kissing pleats in such a way that it occupied the entire hem circumference. So once you have done with this, you should make sure you attach the other fabric to the hem of the second leg as well. So just to make sure you have a neat finishing, you can take this to the overlocking machine to overlock the edges of the hem. The next step is to take the measurement of the waist circumference with the zipper allowance included. So here it's 30 inches. My actual waist circumference is 28 inches. This simply means I still have like 2 inches zipper allowance left. Now this is the waistband and I use the paper scale on the wrong side of the fabric, and the length of this waistband is 30 inches as it is for the waist circumference of the pants. So I folded this waistband into two and the width is 2 inches. So when I attach the waistband to the waist circumference of the pants, it becomes 1.5 inches. Now I took the band to the ironing board to fold in one side of the edges by ½ inch and to also fold the band into two equally. Alright, after I folded it, on the other edge that I didn't fold, I placed the right side of the band on the wrong side of the waist circumference on this band to stitch by ½ inch all through. After stitching, the next thing I did was to fold this band into two and then placed this other edge of the band that was folded already with the iron to cover the initial seam that was done. So I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch all through. The final step is to attach a zipper to the zipper allowance on this side. So this is the final outcome of this pant. It's very beautiful and elegant. You should give it a try, and if you don't know how to take the right measurements to get this fitting and style, I collaborated with Lumsy Sews and I'll be dropping the link to the video where she explained how to take the right measurements for this particular style. If this tutorial was helpful, kindly subscribe, share and like my videos. Bye.